My daughter-in-law married my son to take my home. What I discovered changed everything forever. Sarah stood at the end of the hall, watching the new couple. Joy and laughter flooded through the open door, but her heart felt heavy, gripped by a wave of unease. Jake, her beloved son, had just married Kelly, a dazzling whirlwind wrapped in silk and ambition. The warmth of the home they had built together seemed to evaporate with every giggle, every clink of champagne flutes. How could a woman, raised in the lap of luxury, truly love her son? The foundation of her family's legacy felt fragile, ready to crack at the slightest shift. Every picture hanging on the wall seemed to scream warnings at her. The house had seen sacrifices. It was built on the sweat of her late husband's brow and the tears of her early days as a single mother. As Jake slipped away into a life of promise, clad in Kelly's love, Sarah's heart clenched with suspicion. Were they here to take what was rightfully theirs? Did Kelly want more than just Jake's heart? Panic rose within her as memories danced through her mind. Her husband's tired smile after a long day's work, the way he used to carry her when she was too tired to walk. This home was everything. As the weeks passed, the sense of dread grew. Each dinner felt like an unspoken battle, filled with awkward silences and stilted conversations. The warmth vanished, replaced by an atmosphere thick with doubt. But one evening, Sarah mustered the courage to confront the woman who had captivated her son. "Kelly, I need to talk to you," she said, voice tremulous yet firm. Kelly's eyes widened, but she nodded, intrigued. "What is it?" Kelly asked, the hint of impatience glimmering in her tone. Sarah's voice wavered as she poured out her fears, suspicions tumbling out like loose change. I don't understand. Why here? Why my home?" The words hung heavy between them. Kelly's face hardened, her veneer of charm slipping. "I love Jake. This is our home now, not just yours," she shot back, her words sharp as glass. The confrontation shattered the fragile trust between them, leaving Sarah feeling raw and exposed. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and Thanksgiving approached. The air grew thick with disdain, as Sarah fought to keep her family intact. Then, while rummaging in the attic for Christmas decorations, she stumbled upon a dusty box. Inside, neatly folded, were letters addressed to Kelly's estranged family, revealing a heartbreaking side that made Sarah's heart ache. Each letter recounted loss, loneliness, a yearning for understanding. Kelly wasn't just some entitled girl, she was a woman shaped by her own tragedies. Sarah felt a knot unravel in her chest. Suddenly, the battle lines blurred. Could the daughter-in-law she resented be fighting her own battles? As the weight of realization settled in, she contemplated the cost of her fears. Was she ready to confront her doubts and embrace the chance for a new kind of family connection? The answer hung in her heart, a question unanswered, leaving the air thick with possibility. Would she be brave enough to risk it all for the love that had transformed her home? Thanksgiving dawned cold and gray, a stark contrast to the warmth once felt in Sarah's home. The table was set with her best china, a proud display of the holiday traditions instilled in Jake since childhood. The aroma of pumpkin pie and roasted turkey wafted through the air, but instead of comfort, it felt more like a weight pressing heavily upon her shoulders. Sarah put on a brave face as she placed the final touches on the meal, but inside, her heart raced. Would there be peace at this gathering, or would it be yet another battlefield of tension? As family members began to arrive, she felt the familiar pang of anxiety shoot through her. Each hug and smile from relatives felt forced. The subtle glances exchanged between Kelly and her guests only heightened Sarah's worries. It was like watching shadows dance on the walls, quickly fading whenever she turned her head to see. While the main course was served, Sarah made small talk, all the while watching Jake's eyes light up when he looked at Kelly. It was a joy that was once solely hers to witness. A pang of jealousy washed over her, followed by a wave of guilt. How could she feel this way about her own son's happiness? As the conversation swirled around her, Sarah caught snippets of laughter mixed with the clinking of silverware. Then, amidst the melody of laughter, Kelly stood to give a toast. With glass raised and a smile plastered on her face, she said, "To family, both the one we are born into, and the one we choose." The room erupted with a cheer, but Sarah felt a chill creep down her spine. Hadn't Kelly come here to claim her home? As the evening wore on, a surge of courage flooded through Sarah. She couldn't keep silent any longer. When the guests began serving themselves dessert, Sarah took a deep breath and called out to Kelly. "Can we talk for a moment? Just the two of us?" Reluctantly, Kelly set her fork down, and Sarah led her outside to the porch, the crisp air biting at their cheeks. "I found those letters you wrote to your family," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly against the cool air. Kelly's eyes widened, an array of emotions passing over her face. "You had no right to read those." "Maybe not," Sarah admitted, "but I think you need to understand how much this house means to me. It's not just walls and furniture. Its memories are history." For a moment, they were both left in silence, the weight of their shared pain hanging between them. Then, to Sarah's surprise, Kelly spoke softly. "I know what it's like to feel lost. I've spent years trying to find my place. Losing my family, it's like wandering in a fog. I thought marrying Jake would help me build something real." The sincerity in Kelly's voice struck a chord deep within Sarah. That kind of longing wasn't so different from her own. Sarah felt the walls she had built begin to crumble. "I never wanted to push you away," she said, her heart softening. Could this be a moment of connection instead of conflict? Just as Kelly opened her mouth to respond, a loud cheer erupted from the dinner table inside, followed by a clatter. Without warning, Sarah's heart raced. What was that? They both hurried back in, the atmosphere suddenly tense, the laughter turning to whispers. As they entered, the sight before them froze them in their tracks. Jake was standing with a grim look on his face, clutching his phone. "Mom, I think you need to see this." The words hung in the air, heavy with foreboding. What was it? Sarah's heart sank. What could it possibly mean for their fragile family dynamics? The moment had shifted, and dread washed over the room, leaving everything feeling perilously uncertain. What danger lurked just beyond their doorstep? The room was electric with tension as Sarah approached Jake, fear coiling in her stomach. His usually bright blue eyes were shadowed with worry, and a lump formed in her throat. She reached for his hand, but he pulled it back, his grip still holding tightly onto the phone. "Is it about Kelly?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake shook his head slowly, his gaze still fixed on the screen. The murmurs around them grew faint as the remaining guests bore witness to the unfolding drama, their glances flitting between mother and son, anticipation brewing in the air. "Mom, just look," Jake finally said, extending the phone toward her. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she focused on the display. It was a news article, one about unfamiliar trust fund allegations tied to the family business. The headline read, "Local business magnate's family at risk of losing everything." A photo accompanied it, showing the building her late husband had worked tirelessly to build, now surrounded by ominous red tape. "No. This can't be right," Sarah stammered, her eyes darting to Jake for answers. "What does this have to do with us? It says here the financials are under scrutiny, and if it gets worse, we might lose everything," Jake replied, his voice thick with emotion. "Everything Dad built." Panic surged through Sarah, clouding her thoughts. She felt the weight of her home, the very foundation of her family's memories, slipping out of reach. Could it truly come to that? A loss so profound she couldn't even grasp it? Kelly, lingering by the table, crept closer, her expression a mixture of confusion and concern. "What are you all talking about?" she asked, uncertainty creeping into her voice. Without looking away from the article, Sarah shot back, "You would know, wouldn't you? This is about your charming plan to take something that isn't yours." "Mom, this isn't Kelly's fault," Jake interjected, stepping between them. "She didn't cause this." "Are you defending her?" Sarah felt her voice crack, a torrent of frustration surging forward. "Do you even realize how dramatic this all sounds? First, she shows up wanting my life, and now this. I never wanted to take your life." Kelly's voice rang out, stronger than before. It startled Sarah just the same in a strange way. It was fierce, yet vulnerable. "I came here hoping for acceptance. Just like you, I've lost a family and I don't want to lose another. I thought we could be something together." Tears pricked at the corners of Sarah's eyes, and she felt the ground beneath her shifting. How was it that they were both so desperate for the same thing, a sense of belonging? Just as she was about to respond, her phone buzzed sharply in her pocket. It was a text, "We need to talk. Urgent. Can't speak here." She glanced back at Jake, then at Kelly, each woman searching for solace, but only finding an echoing void. Torn between her feelings of betrayal and understanding, Sarah inhaled sharply. "I need to see what this is about," she finally said, her heart racing. "We're not going to face this alone." As she stepped toward the door, the need for clarity and the fear of crumbling bones drove her forward. Yet just before exiting the room, she hesitated, turning back to face them. "Whatever's out there, whatever comes next, it'll change everything. Are you both ready to fight for this family, or are we going to let others decide our fate?" The weight of her words hung suspended, leaving a resonating question in the air. Would they stand together, or would their fragile alliances fall apart like autumn leaves left to the wind? Light from the hallway spilled into the room, mixing with the tension that hung thick in the air. Sarah's heart raced as she took a hesitant step back into their chaotic world. As she looked at Jake and Kelly, a thought nagged at her. Could they really confront the storm ahead together? "I want to stand with you," Jake said, taking a step forward. "Whatever it takes." Kelly nodded, her green eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I just want to help, Sarah. I've lost so much already. I don't want to lose you too." Sarah felt a pang in her chest. Here was this woman, her son's wife, offering a lifeline in the midst of chaos. But was it genuine? Doubt flickered in her mind as she glanced at the article still displayed on Jake's phone. They needed to be united, yet, how could she trust someone who had thrown her world into upheaval? "Fine," Sarah said, steadying her voice. "We'll face this together. But I need complete honesty. We can't pick sides right now. We are family, and that has to mean something." The flicker of hope in Kelly's eyes made Sarah's heart ache. They were two women standing on the same precipice, both fighting for what they cherished most. "Okay," Jake said, relief washing over him. "I'll start looking for information. Maybe there's a way we can clear Dad's name and protect the company." "First, we need to know who's behind this," Sarah replied, a fierce determination replacing her uncertainty. "I won't let anyone take what belongs to our family. We've worked too hard for this." As they conferred on what to do next, Sarah found her mind racing back to the text message that had drawn her out of their conflict. She needed answers, and she needed them fast. "Let me take this call," she said, feeling a sense of urgency wash over her. "It could be important to figuring out our next steps." Before they could protest, Sarah slipped out of the room, the door clicking shut softly behind her. The quiet hallway felt like a sanctuary of sorts. She needed clarity amid the chaos. Pulling her phone out, she glanced at the message again. Just as she clicked to call, she heard footsteps approaching. A familiar figure rounded the corner. Mark, her late husband's business partner. His once confident stride was now heavy, weighed down by worry. "Sarah," he said, his voice laced with urgency. I've been looking for you. We need to talk now. Her stomach nodded. What's going on, Mark? It's about the allegations. Something much bigger is at play. I think it goes beyond just the business. The cold grip of fear tightened around her heart. What do you mean? I can't explain everything here. We should go somewhere private. Lives are at stake, including yours and your children's. Panic set in, but so did resolve. She needed to protect her family, and that meant she had to trust Mark if only for now. As they stepped out into the cold evening air, doubt wove in and out of her thoughts. What kind of conspiracy were they facing? And would her family truly stand united through it all? The next move would either strengthen their bond or shatter it completely. The cold bit at Sarah's skin as she and Mark made their way toward the parking lot. She could see her breath in the air, mingling with uncertainty. With each step, dread coiled tighter in her chest. Sarah, you need to understand, Mark said, glancing over his shoulder as if they might be followed. I believe someone is orchestrating this attack on your family from the shadows. It's not just a smear campaign, it could threaten your very livelihood. Her heart dropped. What do you mean? Who? Why? Mark stopped, turning to face her. His eyes were dark, full of concern. I can't say yet. We need to gather more evidence. But we have to move quickly. You need to be on guard. On guard? Sarah echoed, fear bleeding into her voice. What does that even mean for us? It means you can't trust everyone. Not even those closest to you. The gravity of his words struck her like a punch. She thought of Jake and Kelly, how they were trying so hard to forge a united front. Could she truly not even trust her own family? As they reached the car, the engine hummed softly in the background, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling inside her. Sarah's mind raced through the list of people she could confide in. Friends? Family? Or was there more betrayal lined up just waiting to strike? Listen, Mark said as they drove away from the house, the surroundings blurring past. You have to keep this quiet, at least for now. If this person catches wind that we're onto them, it could get dangerous. Dangerous. The word echoed in her mind, stirring the shadows of fear already lurking there. What about Jake and Kelly? They deserve to know what we're up against. Mark glanced at her, his grip tightening on the steering wheel. Do you think they can handle it? Think how vulnerable they already feel. Knowing there's a hidden enemy could push them over the edge. His question hung in the air, heavy and sharp. She thought about Jake's eager determination, Kelly's quiet hope. What should she do? Protect them or prepare them? I can't keep secrets, she finally said, shaking her head. We have to be honest. If we're going to face this together, they need to know. Mark sighed, conceding. You know your family best. Just be careful. Don't let anyone see how worried you are. Confidence will keep them strong. As the city lights flickered around them, Sarah's chest tightened with a mix of fear and resolve. She had to be the pillar for her family. The idea framed her thoughts. She might be scared, but she wouldn't let it paralyze her. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, heart racing as she read the screen. It was a message from Kelly. Mom, something strange just happened. I need to talk ASAP. An icy wave of worry washed over her. Mark, it's Kelly. I think something is happening. What is it? I don't know, but I have to go back. Without waiting for his answer, she directed him to turn the car around, anxiety spiking. I have to see what's going on. Something tells me this is bigger than we anticipated. As they sped back, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were plunging deeper into a web of intrigue and danger. What had Kelly stumbled upon? They pulled into the driveway just in time to catch a glimpse of Jake and Kelly by the front door, their expressions a mix of confusion and fear. This had gone from a family problem to something darker, and she couldn't help but wonder, what had they unwittingly stepped into? Sarah's heart raced as she stepped out of the car, the cold air hitting her like a wave. She felt Mark's presence right behind her, his own tension thickening the atmosphere. What had Kelly seen? What were they about to confront? Jake noticed them first, his brows furrowed in worry. "Mom. You're back. We need you." The panic in his voice only fueled her urgency. "What's going on?" Sarah demanded, quickening her pace toward the door. Kelly stood beside Jake, her petite frame taut with anxiety. "It's about the neighbor, Mr. Jennings. He came over while you were gone." "Mr. Jennings?" That name stirred a memory. He was an eccentric old man who lived alone. Always had his nose in everyone else's business. What did he want? "He said he saw someone hanging around our house earlier." "Someone he didn't recognize," Jake explained, glancing nervously back at Kelly. "He thought he was doing us a favor." "Or trying to pull something," Mark muttered, crossing his arms. Sarah's chest tightened at the thought. "Did he provide any details?" Kelly nodded, her wide eyes flickering with unease. "He said the person was watching us through the windows. It felt so creepy. I didn't like it." Dread settled over them like a thick blanket. "Why didn't you call me?" Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I thought it was nothing at first," Jake admitted, looking down. "But then I saw the shadow again later. It's like someone was just lurking outside." "Is he still out there?" Mark asked, peering through the window, assessing the darkened street. "We should call the police." "No." Kelly's voice rang out stronger. "What if he sees us calling? What if he knows we're on to him?" "Exactly," Mark agreed, his gaze shifting between the two youngsters. "We have to be smart. We can't let them know we're afraid." Fear washed over Sarah. Her kids should not have to worry about this. Not on top of everything else. She needed to shield them, but time was ticking, and they were losing the upper hand. "Tell me everything, from the start." As they moved into the living room, she felt the weight of their collective uncertainty closing in. They all settled on the edge of the couch, hesitant yet resolute. "I think he wanted us to feel unsafe," Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper. He kept going on about how strange things have been happening in this neighborhood. "Strange how?" "Like pets disappearing, weird noises at night, and even neighborhood parties getting shut down for fights." Kelly added, "It's like a dark cloud is hanging over the community, and now he's trying to involve us." "I wish Dad were here," Jake murmured, his vulnerability piercing through the tense air. "He'd know how to deal with this." Her heart sank. That part of their family was leaving them vulnerable. "We'll handle this together. I promise," she insisted, standing a little taller. "But we need to keep this close. No one else can know." A sudden knock at the door made everyone jump. Their eyes darted toward the entrance. Mark took a protective step forward. "Stay behind me," he instructed, his voice low and serious. Sarah felt as though the walls were closing in. Was this the moment the danger revealed itself? She didn't know if she was ready. "What if it's him?" Kelly whispered, her voice trembling like the leaves outside. "Then we'll face it together," Mark replied. Without another moment's delay, he stepped forward and opened the door, revealing a stranger, dressed in dark clothes and an unsettling smile. "Hello," he greeted with a tone that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. "I'm here on business. May I come in?" The air shifted, a palpable tension forming as they exchanged glances. Was he a threat? Did he know about the shadow that loomed over their family? As uncertainty twisted her stomach, Sarah barely managed to speak. "Who are you?" "Just someone who's interested in your family business." The depths of danger loomed larger than ever. What exactly did this man want? The answers felt crucial, yet they were shrouded in a veil of uncertainty that threatened to overwhelm her. The stranger's smile widened, but his eyes remained cold. There was something unsettling about the way he stood there, leaning slightly forward as if waiting for them to respond. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, and the room felt constricted, as if the very air had thickened. "Who sent you?" Mark challenged, his voice steady but firm, a protective barrier between the stranger and their timid home. The man chuckled softly, the sound grating against Sarah's nerves. "Let us not play games. I think you know why I'm here." His words sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. Kelly clutched Jake's arm, and Sarah felt a rush of instinct to shield them, to pull them close. This was her home, and they wouldn't let anyone intimidate them. "What do you want?" Sarah forced out, struggling to keep her voice even. He straightened up, his posture shifting into something more commanding. "I'm here to discuss the house." "Your house. There are opportunities here that I believe you're unaware of." "Opportunities?" Mark echoed, his skepticism clear. "What do you mean?" "I know your family is facing challenges," the stranger said, his tone dripping with condescension. "I could help. But it comes with a price." "Get to the point," Jake said, his youthful bravado shining through the fear in his eyes. The stranger relinquished his polite demeanor for a moment, his features darkening. "Let us just say the neighborhood is undergoing changes. I can help you adapt or I can help you leave." "What do you mean leave?" Sarah's voice slipped, cracking slightly. The implications were terrifying. Who exactly was this man, and what did he know? Frustration bubbled inside Mark. "You're not telling us what's really going on. If you think we're scared of you, scared?" The man's smile returned, but this one had more malice. "You should be concerned. There are things happening out there," he gestured broadly, "people watching, decisions being made that could affect you all." Kelly, struck by a sudden impulse of defiance, stepped forward. "We're not afraid of you or your threats. We will protect our family." The stranger's eyes flickered, surprised yet intrigued by her spirit. "Ah, the fire in this one. But fire can easily become ash. Choose wisely. When you see shadows lurking, sometimes it's best to learn who's really behind them." Sarah felt a rush of anger with the way he toyed with them like chess pieces. "You will not threaten my children," she shouted, her voice rising above the tension. He took a step back, raised his hands in mock surrender, yet the smirk on his face told a different story. "I don't want to threaten you. Just inform you. But it seems like you're not ready to hear the truth. I will be back." With that, he turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing in the now-still room. Sarah's pulse raced as she watched him retreat into the night, their safety dangling on a precipice of uncertainty. "What just happened?" Jake asked, his voice trembling as he clutched Kelly tighter. "We don't know," Mark answered, his face taut with concern. "But we need to be ready." Sarah's hands trembled as she held onto the edge of the couch, trying to steady herself. Did he really mean all that? About people watching us? Jake's face paled. What if he's right? A heavy silence settled around them, weighing down the air. The world outside felt different now. Their lives, once cocooned in the simple worries of a normal family, now spiraled into something darker and more dangerous. What if the shadow isn't just a shadow anymore? Kelly whispered, glancing nervously toward the window. Then we face it together, Sarah said firmly, though doubt lurked in her heart. As they huddled close, the weight of impending threats felt suffocating. Yet deep down, a flicker of hope ignited in Sarah's chest. She would not let fear dismiss her family's love. "Let us get to the bottom of this before it finds us," she said, determination hardening her voice. But as they strategized, the wind outside howled with a new ferocity. In the distance, shadows collided under the streetlights. They were not just shadows anymore, they were the harbingers of a fight they never knew was coming. Would they be ready to confront what lurked in the darkness? Would their love prove strong enough against the overwhelming fear? The atmosphere in the room grew heavier as the wind lashed against the windows, rattling the glass and adding to the growing dread that cloaked the family. Sarah looked at her children, their faces pale with fear, and felt a surge of fierce protectiveness. She took a deep breath, trying to convey calm in her voice. "All right, we need a plan," Mark said, his tone shifting from fearful to resolute. "We have to figure out what this man knows and why he came here. If there are people watching us, we need to know who they are and what they want." Kelly frowned, curling her fingers around Jake's arm. "But what if they're really dangerous? What if he's not just bluffing?" "That's exactly why we have to take this seriously," Sarah replied. "But we can't forget we're a family. So whatever we do, we face it together." They all nodded, the determination in the air slowly solidifying their resolve. It was silent for a moment, just the raging wind outside, but that silence was soon disrupted by a faint rattling sound. "What was that?" Jake jumped, his eyes darting towards the hallway that led to the back door. "Stay here," Mark commanded, his voice low and steady. He tiptoed toward the source of the noise, Sarah following right behind him. Adrenaline pumped through her veins as they cautiously approached, every creak of the floor making her heart race. It was just a loose shutter, flapping wildly against the exterior of the house. Mark secured it with a quick motion, looking back at Sarah with a flicker of relief. "Just the wind," he said, but she could see the concern still dancing in his eyes. They returned to the living room, where Kelly and Jake waited, their expressions a mix of anxiety and curiosity. What if we don't stay here?" Kelly suggested, the thought spilling out in a rush. "We could just pack up and go somewhere safe." "Leave our home?" Sarah asked, the thought squeezing her heart. "This is our home, Kelly. We can't let fear make us leave. We'll find a way to stay." "But what if we can't?" Jake said. "What if he comes back? What if he brings friends?" "Enough with the what-ifs," Mark said, his voice rising slightly in frustration. "We need a strategy. If we're going to face him, we have to confront our fears. No hiding." As they brainstormed, Sarah felt a familiar warmth growing inside her, a determination forged from the love of her family. It didn't matter how dark things seemed, she wasn't about to let it choke the life out of their home. "I have an idea," she finally spoke up, a spark lighting in her eyes. "Tomorrow, we go out and gather information. We'll talk to the neighbors, anyone who might know what's going on in this neighborhood. Together, we'll find out what's really happening." "Can we trust the neighbors?" Kelly asked. "That's just it," Sarah replied. "We don't have to trust them, but we need to know what they know." Her heart raced as they sketched out a plan, a mix of hope and trepidation igniting within them. If the shadows were going to loom ever closer, then they'd shine brighter than the darkness. Just as the resolve settled among them, there was a sudden thud at the front door. They froze, hearts pounding in their chests. "Who is it?" Mark called out, his voice steady but laced with concern. Silence hung for a moment, and then they heard the unmistakable creak of the doorknob turning. "Stay behind me," Mark said, moving instinctively in front of Sarah and the kids. The door swung open, and there stood a figure cloaked in darkness. But it wasn't the stranger. As the light streamed in, the face was familiar yet unexpected, someone they thought they could trust. "Help me," she whispered, her voice quivering with urgency. "What are you doing here?" Sarah asked, stepping forward, confusion mixing with a sense of foreboding. But before she could receive an answer, the wind gusted again, drowning out their voices and sending a shiver of apprehension through Sarah's spine. The mystery deepened the more they thought they understood it. What had the intruder brought with her, and how would it change everything? The figure stepped forward, the light illuminating her features more clearly. It was Emma, Sarah's sister, looking worn and frantic. Her disheveled hair whipped about her face, and her wide eyes glistened with desperation. "Emma?" Sarah's heart raced. Confusion swept through the room like a chill, the warmth of familial ties struggling against the weight of uncertainty. What's wrong? I need your help, Emma replied, her voice rising slightly, laced with urgency. I didn't know who else to trust. They're coming after me. It's not safe, she trailed off, glancing anxiously over her shoulder as if expecting someone to follow her. A million questions flooded Sarah's mind, but she could see that Emma was on the edge. Come inside. Get away from the door. Mark stepped aside, allowing Emma to enter, the door creaking shut behind her. As they settled into the living room, the intensity thickened. Kelly and Jake moved closer to their mother, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. Who's coming after you? Mark asked, his boldness battling what simmered under the surface. What are we dealing with here? Emma hesitated, the words catching in her throat. Some men in suits, they want something. They think we know, she shook her head as if to shake off the panic. I didn't know where else to go. I thought I could come to you. I didn't know they would find you? Sarah's stomach sank. What do they want? I don't know. Emma snapped, bursting into tears. But they were asking about you, about the house. They think there's something buried here. Sarah's heart thudded in her chest. Buried where? What could they want with our home? That's the thing, Emma said, her voice shaking. I heard whispers. Everything has been a lie. The house is connected somehow, they believe it's the key to something bigger than us all. Mark exchanged glances with Sarah, a mutual understanding creeping in. We have to protect our family, he said softly, taking hold of Sarah's hand. Protect ourselves? Or protect her? Kelly asked, her voice barely above a whisper, the uncertainty asphalt hardening against hope. Both, Sarah answered, trying to find strength. We can't abandon Emma. She's family. Was that enough? As fear clawed at her insides, she could already imagine the shadows creeping closer. They had only just begun to confront the threat when now another tidal wave crashed upon them. Can you trust the neighbors? Emma asked, her voice trembling again. They could be involved. Some can be trusted, Mark replied, voice steady but weary. We need to gather information tomorrow, just like we planned. Just then, another crack of thunder erupted outside, echoing Emma's distress. The house felt like it could shatter at any moment, their sense of sanctuary now crumbling under the weight of new revelations. Stay close, Sarah instructed the children, wrapping her arms around them. She felt the fragile safety they built begin to fray. She wanted to assure them with every ounce of her being, but that certainty was slipping. What if they come here? Jake whispered, his small body trembling slightly. They won't if we're smart, Mark reassured. We'll be prepared. The night lured them deeper into uncertainty, foreboding lingering in the air as they stared at Emma, whose presence brought both comfort and dread. Sarah, Emma said, her voice suddenly low, you have to believe me. It's all connected. There's something you don't know about Mom's past. About the house. What about it? Sarah leaned closer, an illogical hope pinballing through her heart. Emma swallowed hard, her gaze darting away. I can explain everything, but you need to trust me, just as I trusted you once. Otherwise everything could fall apart. Sarah's breath caught. The night felt like it had grown darker, the walls closing in. What had Emma dragged into their lives? And more painfully, was there a hidden truth under their very roof that could change everything? As Sarah's mind raced, she faced the shadows inside her own home. Would the truth set them free, or would it unravel them all? The storm outside echoed the turmoil inside Sarah's heart. She felt a whirlwind of emotions churning as she looked at Emma's tear-streaked face. The very foundation of their family felt threatened not just by shadows lurking outside but by secrets buried in their own history. Emma, you can't just drop a bomb like that without explaining, Sarah urged, her voice a mix of concern and anger. She could feel Jake and Kelly's anxious eyes on her, waiting for answers just as much as she was. Emma took a deep breath, trying to reclaim her composure. It's about Mom, our mom, Sarah. The connections she had, the secrets she kept. I stumbled upon them when I was looking through some old files, and they led me here. I thought I could protect you from it, but now it seems like it's all mixed up in this. What secrets? Sarah asked, her pulse quickening. There are documents, Emma said, her eyes darting nervously. They talk about investments, a hidden trust, properties, everything tied to our family. Mom was involved in something much larger. The house, it's not just a family shelter. It has a legacy. Legacy? Kelly echoed, bewildered as she struggled to grasp the weight of the revelation. What does that even mean? The men in suits, they're looking for whatever Mom hid away. They think it's here, in this house, Emma said, her voice dropping. And they won't stop until they find it. Then we need to get to the bottom of this, Mark said, an edge of resolve sharpening his voice. Before they can find whatever it is. But how? Jake interjected, his youthful bravado faltering. We don't know where to even start tomorrow, Sarah said, a sudden clarity coming over her. We'll search the attic again. There may be things left behind that can help us understand. Together. The prospect felt daunting, but the thought of their family home as a treasure chest, a puzzle waiting to be solved, ignited a flicker of hope. Emma nodded, a fire igniting in her eyes. And I'll help. I know where Mom kept some of her files locked away. Let us make a plan, Mark added with determination, pointing toward the kitchen table. We can set up shifts, keep an eye out. But we need to do this carefully. The family gathered around the table, discussing tactics in hushed tones as if every sound outside could be an intruder. They strategized, mapping out their roles as if preparing for a mission. As the night deepened, something shifted in the air. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was purpose. By morning, they emerged with a chatty buzz, fueled by the hope of discoveries laid before them. Sarah stood in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The scent of coffee and pancakes filled the air, mingling with the warmth of home that she yearned to reclaim. As her family settled down for a meal, she looked at each of them, her heart swelling with love and protection. Whatever happens today, she began, looking into Jake's bright blue eyes, then at Kelly and Emma, this house belongs to us. Whatever secrets we uncover, we will face them together. We are family. The breakfast that followed overflowed with laughter and nods of agreement. Even amid the chaos, moments of joy ignited their spirits. Just as they finished up, the doorbell rang. Heartbeats quickened, trepidation replacing the warmth they felt only moments before. Mark traded worried glances with Sarah but took the lead again. Stay here, he warned, before stepping toward the door. Holding her breath, Sarah's mind raced through possibilities. Could it be trouble? The door creaked open, revealing a familiar face, Mr. Jennings, the eccentric neighbor. Good morning. He greeted with an exaggerated cheerfulness, his hands clasped tightly. I just wanted to check in, see how you're all doing. Heard some commotion yesterday. Why are you really here? Mark interrupted, his eyes narrowing. Got something up your sleeve? Mr. Jennings' gaze flickered momentarily. Just making sure the neighborhood feels safe. People are concerned. Concerned, or watching? Sarah challenged, her voice firm despite the uncertainty coiling in her gut. The old man hesitated, then leaned in conspiratorially. You have to understand, much is at stake. Not just for you, but everyone. I've seen things, and trust me, you need allies. Like who? Kelly asked, presenting a boldness she hadn't shown before. The family was quickly catching fire again, pooling their strength. But before Mr. Jennings could answer, the sky erupted in loud cracks of thunder, shaking the very ground beneath them. What's happening? Sarah asked, her protective instincts kicking in once more. We need to help you, but you must listen, he urged earnestly. The trouble comes from somewhere deeper. You know the secrets of this house may lead you to safety, but revealing them can be more dangerous than what? Sarah pressed harder. More dangerous than you understand, he dropped his voice. If they find out you're onto the key here, they won't let you leave, and there's far more to worry about than simple greed. Just tell us what we need to know, Sarah said, feeling the weight of her family behind her. A group. Mr. Jennings began, leaning even closer. They believe this house holds the key to an old fortune. A fortune connected to your family. You need to tread carefully. A chill raced through Sarah as she processed his words. Is this why they're after Emma? Is that why all this is happening? Yes, Mr. Jennings said, suddenly grave. And I believe the answer to everything you're looking for lies in the attic. Tonight, you must gather what you can, but go quietly. If they catch you, it would change everything. Each sentence from Mr. Jennings was laden with truth and depth that weighed heavily on Sarah's heart. The walls of her world had shifted yet again. But she felt even stronger now. United, they would face whatever came next. As the day wore on, the family gathered around the table in the afternoon light, planning their nighttime expedition. They were ready to face their destiny, shadows and all. And together, they would uncover the truth that could heal them or leave them shattered. The legacy of the house, buried for too long, would be revealed, and they were determined to ensure that it would strengthen them rather than destroy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with purple and orange, Sarah looked at her family with fierce love. Whatever lay ahead, they were prepared to fight. This was about more than a house, it was about their bonds, their love, and the strength they found in unity. Tonight, we'll face our fears and whatever comes next. We'll change our fate. With a collective nod, they steeled themselves for the unraveling story, together. The shadows might come, but together they would find the light. And in that resolve, Sarah realized with a full heart that they would reclaim their home. And from nothing but love, they'd rewrite their own legacy. This was just the beginning. And from here, they would forge a future brighter than any shadow ever dared to dream. As the final glow of twilight dimmed, Sarah's heart beat strong and steady, knowing true family was always born from love and resilience, no matter the shadows lurking nearby. This was their journey together, and it would never be the same again. Now, she would make sure it was a journey worth taking. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your feelings about this ending. How did it resonate with you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.